Five, four, three, two, one, zero.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point, you realize you were married into crazy.
And that's what our podcast is all about. We offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as we unpack this crazy thing called marriage.
So sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
All right, let's go.
Welcome to episode 106 of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. I'm Lovey.
I'm Rana. Snooks.
She is so into, we had to change up a few things. She's staring at the screen. She has no idea, so she's missing all her cues.
No, I'm not. I'm making sure that I'm just looking at the thing.
That's so funny. So, you know, when she was going to school, she wasn't like really into what I was doing, like on the mixing board and trying to get stuff together. And now she's a professional and she's critiquing
because
me.
I didn't critique you. I was literally looking.
Fellas, she says she's not critiquing with words, but
oh my gosh.
Does your wife ever, or anybody, does your spouse have a tendency to critique you with looks or the raising of an eyebrow, the crinkling of...
Maybe I was trying to make sure I was hearing what I thought I was hearing.
If we could just do that so much more in our marriage. Make sure you're hearing what you think you're hearing rather than assuming what you're hearing.
And that's
is
why
what
I
I'm
didn't
saying.
say anything. Thank you.
Oh, that's so fun. Well, we welcome everyone back to episode 106. Hey, look, we want everyone, whether you're listening on Spotify, Pandora Music, what have you, we hope you're having a great time. And we're asking that you go out and share with 5, 6, 2,500 other people. So you just kind of get the word out and we can kind of raise awareness and bring more people into the conversation. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, we are going to ask that you go ahead and give us a review.
And put 5 on it.
And as Nick says, put 5 on it. You know, give us what you feel we deserve. But also, more than anything else, we'd love it if you leave a review. And also, go ahead and subscribe.
Mm-hmm. Also, another way to kind of keep in touch with us is to send us a text message at our Married into Crazy text community. That's 918-351-2799. Again, that number is 918-351-2799. Really? Silly.
No, you know, hey, go ahead and hit us up on this text. And we love the texts that are coming in. The community is growing. We call it Married into Crazy text community, the Iron Tribe text community. As you all know, or for those of you that are new, you may not have heard this in a while, everybody that's a part of our family, part of our group, part of this organization as far as the listeners, us, people that are chiming in, married couples, premarital couples, people that are post-marriage, divorced, waiting for that next opportunity to really become part of a blessed union. That's our Iron Tribe. Because just as iron sharpens iron, as it says in Proverbs 27:17, we also believe we as couples should sharpen each other as well.
Yep.
So again, we welcome you back to the #1 podcast for couples that married into crazy. And so we're going to jump into this. So we haven't given you a 75 hard update because we are doing 75 hard, which is...
I thought we updated them last week.
We might have. I just may have forgotten.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Because it's been so hard. Stuff. I'm having these mental blocks.
It is. Yeah, this week was a bit of a struggle for me. I don't know why. I mean, I feel like I'm getting used to, or I'm used to now, like the 2 workouts a day.
Mm-hmm.
I still struggle a bit with the water, getting, the water down. Sunday, was it? I think it was Sunday. I was craving some peach cobbler or something like that. And I was like, it was so hard to... I won't say it was hard. It was a challenge to not just say, you know what, just forget it. I'm about to get me some peach cobbler, but I didn't. So that was a win.
It's funny how each of us have our own vices. And for me, it's not like a sweet. It's not like peach cobbler or cake or something like that. No, there was, what did we watch? We watched a movie and there was some cake. We both were like, that cake looks good.
Oh, that was...
We were watching Flash or Legends or something that you watch.
Oh, it was the legend? Yeah. I was,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, somebody had some
Harry.
cake, and I was like, man. But at the same time, we're like,
Birthday
that sure
cake.
doesn't
I
look
was
good.
Like, man, that cake looks so good.
No, but for me, it's like salty, like potato chip type stuff. That's what I'm craving.
Yeah, me too.
But it's funny. So here's the thing. First 30 days, we're on day. Today is day 37 of our 75 hard journey, and on day 30, I actually at that point I lost 12 pounds.
And I lost 11.
And so, the funny thing is, this isn't really about weight loss, at least for me. It's more about the mental aspect of it.
I'm gonna speak for yourself now.
No, but it really is. I mean, maybe at first we're like, oh, we'll lose some weight, blah, blah, blah. But this is really about gaining some mental clarity, finding discipline, and so that way we can be that much better in every aspect of our lives. She's looking at me like, nope, it's about the weight loss. Oh, that's funny. So that's the latest thing. I mean, but we're having fun with it. I'm not having a lot of challenges as much as I did in the very beginning.
Yeah.
If anything, it is sometimes the water, sometimes it's the reading 10 pages a day. And if you wait to the very end of the day, that gets a little daunting when you're trying to go to bed at a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
So just like anything else, we just got to plan.
Yeah, that's true. Sleep too is a big thing.
Huge.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of jump into you said you wanted to talk about.
Oh, well, just kind of, I want to just tell everybody, just keep the a family, friends of our family, well, acquaintances of our family in prayer. The young man, he lost his mother. It's very tragic. She was murdered, as a matter of fact, and he's 29 and she was 56. And turns out she was actually killed by her ex-boyfriend. So, not real sure of all the details, but it's just one of those things that for me, it kind of, it makes me feel some kind of way because of the violent act of an ex, with our history where our story, Lovey was stabbed in the heart by my ex-boyfriend over 20 years ago. And when I hear about ex-boyfriends that snap, it always kind of brings back that day or that situation, that whole,
No, I hear you. When I heard the saying, it kind of just made me think, wow. I mean, you just never know what people are capable of, mm-hmm. or how far someone can be stretched. Again, we don't know the circumstances of everything that transpired.
Well, we don't know if they're all true. People will say things, but we don't know exactly. We don't have concrete answers for everything that happened. We do know, though, that she was murdered by her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, she was gunned down.
Yeah.
But wasn't she at
she was at her birthday party, and they were also celebrating
it's a memorial, right?
Memorial for her brother who passed away the year before. So it was just, that's all bad. So
that's crazy. In the midst of trying to combine the two and bring some joy, celebration to
remembering her
brother at the same time, then she's gunned down.
Yeah, so just very tragic. So
lots of prayers. You don't need to know the name, all that. Just send. God knows. God knows when you send those prayers up for that family and for all those people that are suffering out there right now. But it just makes you think. What's the mindset like
mm-hmm.
of a person when they do something like that?
Yeah.
And so it makes me think. There's this book that I've been reading as a part of 75 Hard. Well, it's not part of 75 Hard, but you're supposed to read 10 pages of a nonfiction book. And I've had this book on my desk for several years now, and it's one of those, I'm going to read a little bit and get to the rest of it later. I've had this book for a while. My friend Terry actually recommended it a while ago regarding some ways to approach parenting. And the book is called Mindset.
My Terry?
My Terry.
My Terry. She's my Terry.
But it's called Mindset, and it's by Dr. Carol Dweck. And it's talking about the different mindsets that you can have. There's basically two types of mindsets. There's a fixed mindset, and then there's a growth mindset. And the studies that she references in here and the stories that she tells and the different ways, there's a variety of things. They talk about relationships. They talk about raising children. They talk about coaching. It talks about work environments. There's running a business. But it all comes back to the type of mindset that you have. And
I was going to say, so could you give a bit of a small definition of each one? What is a fixed mindset and what is a growth? What would be a fixed mindset and what would be a growth mindset?
Yeah, sure. Rather than give like a hardcore definition, I'll give an illustration. So, illustration wise, so think of somebody that's taking, like a kid that's taking the SAT, right? And so there's a couple of ways you can approach taking like the SAT or the ACT, which is one of those, what do they call them? It's the test you take to get into college, right? And I can't remember the for whatever reason, the name for it specifically, the type of test.
It's not standardized.
Yeah, standardized testing.
Okay.
Thank you. So,
You're welcome.
so when you look at a test like that, a kid can approach it. Now, if an instructor, a parent, a mentor tells the kid, hey, okay, so you're going to take this test, and this test is going to tell you how smart you are and whether or not you can get into college. That kid's going to go into it thinking, oh my gosh, and there's going to be a lot of anxiety, which a lot of our kids face because they're thinking, okay, this test is going to tell me how smart I am and whether or not I'm worthy to be in college. It's basically going to tell me whether I'm stupid or I'm smart. And if you approach it from that standpoint, that's a fixed mindset because now this kid's going to walk away from that test, whatever that score is, it's going to leave an indelible mark because of the mindset going into it that either I'm smart or I'm not. Versus if the mentor had more of a growth mindset approach and said, hey, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to take this ACT or you're going to take the SAT. This test is going to give us a baseline. It's going to give us an idea of where you're at in your education. It's going to talk about your strengths, but it's also going to talk about some areas that you're going to grow. And it's going to give us an idea of what we need to focus on to help you grow and learn so you're better prepared for college. Taking the exact same test, same kid, same mentor, different approach. And so now you have a growth mindset. You have one kid that's like, oh my God, I'm going to take this test and it's going to tell me whether I'm smart or I'm dumb. Other kids are going to be like, okay, I'm going to take this test. I know it's going to be hard, but at the very minimum, it's going to give me an idea of what I need to work on so I can get smarter, so I can actually up my score, what have you. So there's two different approaches. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so basically what I'm hearing is like the fixed mindset is almost an approach out of fear, but it's also approach out of you could feel like you'll be judged if you don't get a good score or if you do something that's not, good in eyes of society or even in your own eyes. You might feel like you're judged or you might be labeled because what if I don't get in or what if I don't? And you have all these angst that are built up. But with the growth mindset, if it doesn't happen the way that you want it to happen, you always look for a lesson learned from it.
Right. Well, think of it this way. Let me use another example. Right now, there's not just right now, it's been going on for a while, where there have been women that they're trying to get more and more girls in elementary schools and have you involved in STEM. Science, technology, I don't remember what the E stands for, but and mathematics. But it's basically talking about the sciences, and math and all that, and getting more and more girls because they've recognized that in college or in industry, when it comes to engineers and what have you, there aren't as many women. Well, there's a stigma out there that there's a lot of women that are told or made to believe that they aren't smart enough or that girls can't do math, girls can't do science. And so that's a fixed mindset. And there's a lot of instructors out there. And Dr. Dweck talks about it in her book about how there are women that actually enter college, great mathematicians that have a great career at the high school level, and they go into college, and then you have, when they get a math problem right, an instructor might say something just underhanded like, oh yeah, you got lucky on that one. Or these little digs. And then there's a large number of women that go in as declared engineering or some type of STEM affiliated majors, but then they switch over to liberal arts. They end up becoming communication majors, or they end up going over into graphic arts, or they go into humanities, or they bounce over into something other than what they went there for because someone has planted a seed of doubt.
Okay.
So that's a fixed mindset because now these women are believing that, oh, I can't do this. Or you have an athlete that says, we talk about effort. Putting forth great effort, or when we talk about our kids, putting forth great effort, it should be rewarded as opposed to, oh, you're so smart, or, oh, hey, you're a great athlete. Oh, that comes natural to that kid. Those people have a tendency to think that they don't need to. But even think about a relationship. In a relationship, some people think, well, this is the way I am, that's the way she is, and that's just the way it is. This is the way our relationship always has been. This is the way our relationship will always be. Versus going into a relationship thinking, you know what, I've got some stuff I need to work on. You know, I'm sure she's got some stuff she needs to work on, but I'm going to get better so that way I can contribute to this relationship and we can grow our relationship. Mm-hmm. And let's be real. I think that when we came into our marriage, we had I can only speak for me. I had a fixed mindset as to what a husband was supposed to be, as to what my role was supposed to be in this marriage.
I think that I want to say that I probably may have started out with some growth of mindset, but as time went on a bit, after the tragedy that happened, it became fixed. Because when I look at the fixed mindset, it was always, I always think about the fixed mindset being more focused on kind of the negative or what's negative or what can't be fixed or what can't be, is always going to be this way. I mean, that my fixed mindset is what led us to year 4 at our anniversary. You're never going to change. You're never going to have my back. I'm always going to be, it's always going to be me against your whole family. I'm always going to be the outsider in our marriage as far as our unit. You know, I didn't really feel like I belonged in it, even though I was married to you, you know, so that was my fixed mindset. So that led me to be like, I can't do this because I refuse to do this, you know. I'm not going to, you know. So, yeah, that's that for me. But I think after everything is said and done, you know, it's funny because you go back the next year, that was what, 2001? Then you go back 2002, and it was a total different type of mindset. It was a total different relationship, you know.
Absolutely. And I think some of that too, like, okay, so you're talking about from the fixed mindset. Mm-hmm. And I was fixed, like, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. But then we went to we got to the point, and I think for me at least, when it came to adopting a growth mindset, it came down to, okay, now I have to reevaluate my relationship and think about how I exist with my mother, mm-hmm. how I exist with my wife, redefining those roles and being open to being more lenient in one area and less lenient in another, and really standing up and being who I needed to be as a husband and as a father, and not so much as a son any longer. And I think a lot of men have some of those challenges.
Yeah. I can't speak for the men, but I know that for one thing, I think for us, our mindset was messed up because our communication was almost non-existent. You know, I felt like a lot of times we kind of swept stuff more under the rug than instead of let's just deal with it head on. It's kind of like, you know, oh, I don't want to address it because this is the bad part, or this is what's going to happen, or I said something before to him and nothing's going to change, so why should I bring it up again? There's so many people that say that that very thing. You're like, I'm like, well, okay, did you discuss it? Did you talk about it? No. Well, why? Okay, so how do you expect anything to? Well, I told him. Okay, so you told him what? Once I said it more than one time. I said it before, so why should I keep talking about it? Why should I, you know, say anything else about it? Because nothing's going to change. That's a fixed mindset, and it makes me. I have to say this. I said to my brother, my oldest brother, one day we're gonna have him on the show. But anyway, I said to him,
he does know it's a PG show, right? I'm just saying.
But you know, he's a candidate for the fixed mindset group, you know. But we were talking, and he was like, well, I said that before, and I was like, man, I ain't gonna keep on, blah blah blah, whatever. And I was like, so you just refuse to say it? Well, why would I say it again? I already said it before. You heard me say it. Da da da. And I was like, so when you learned how to ride a bike, did you get instruction one time? And you just knew how to do it? When you learned how to swim, did they just tell you how to do it then and you just learned and that was it? When you had to learn your multiplication, They gave you one time and that was it. He looked at me. He said, "Girl, shut up."
Look, Six came in prepared for this one because when we, right when we got started, she was like, "Oh, you know, I took a few notes. I'm just gonna."
Well, but I mean, that
she got
just
3
made me
pages of
think,
notes, folks.
Oh my gosh,
3
they're
pages.
little tiny pieces of paper.
No, it's funny, but you know, I was gonna say, I love everything that you were saying because it's one of those things that we need to really. I think this conversation needs to take place in many relationships across the world, not just in our neighborhood, not just in our city and our state. I mean, this is something that resonates across every culture once they're bonded in marriage. And one of the problems is that people with a fixed mindset expect everything good to happen automatically. And that's something we need to get out of. And in the book, there's one thing. There's a psychiatrist, Aaron Beck, that's quoted. And he says that the most destructive belief for a relationship is if we need to work at it, there's something seriously wrong with our relationship. Think about it. If we have to work at it, there's something wrong. 'Cause some people believe that, oh, well, if I love you, you love me. And, it shouldn't be hard. It should just naturally, through the progression of life and love, that everything should work out fine. They don't believe that it should take, effort. And you and I had a conversation the other night. We were walking. And I talked about, I was tossing this idea around. And I had used the example of, some people feel like they need to live happily ever after. And you took offense to it. Because,
I did.
You did, because you thought I was attacking the happily ever after.
Yep.
But I wasn't attacking that. I was just kind of saying that, no, it's, you don't live happily ever after, so to speak. You work happily ever after. And some things aren't completely work. Oh, here she goes. She's about to go in.
No, I'm not going to go in. I'm just smiling.
So look, every marriage, so John Gottman says that, and he's a relationship researcher. That's everybody
Very well known.
Very well known. I won't say all, but a lot of counselors, a lot of marriage therapists, marriage coaches really rely heavily on the work that John Gottman does. And he says that every marriage demands an effort to keep it on the right track. There is a constant tension between the forces that hold you together and those that can tear you apart. And work on the forces that hold you together as well as the ones that can tear you apart. So you work happily ever after versus living happily ever after.
Okay, but see, for me, those two coexist together. I mean, that's just me, because we work, but we're also living. My job, I want to say my life consists of work. I don't just lounge around, even on, just talk about a regular job. I live, but I work also. So within my living, it's part of my work, is part of my living. So I never want to, for me, I don't ever separate the two, because in my mind, they lived happily ever after. That's a general comment, but everyone is so quick to say, oh, there's no such thing as happily ever after. There's no such thing as blah, 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 whatever. I feel like we're living happily ever after. We're still working, but we're still living happily ever after. This is my fairy tale. This is my thing, So I know that's going to be a whole nother podcast, but that means different things to different people, because some people cannot, I feel like, okay, so, and then I feel like too, we say, oh, we have a, we have a growth mindset. Oh, you have to have a growth mindset. You have to have it, but then you put a limitation on how you live, or how the love can be. That's just me. That's how I feel.
I don't see it
That's
that way. I feel like as long as the connotation of living includes work, then I agree with you.
Then that's mine.
But that's just it. But okay, so that's your definition.
Okay, but I mean, and I feel like realistically, everyone should know, and I know they don't.
No.
I know they don't, because I will say, I was a victim of.
It should be easy,
oh my gosh! If we love each other, then what is the problem?
It should be like.
Well,
that movie with that girl and that guy, and they were in love.
Anyway, we won't talk about that right now. Like I said, that we will have a podcast about that. But I felt that way before. I felt like if I love you and you love me, then we should. Why? What is this? because love conquers all. I've always felt like love conquers all. That was my very first love, my first love. I was just like dumbfounded that what the heck is happening, that the personalities and this and that or whatever, because for me, love conquers all. It didn't matter. And I wouldn't say that I didn't think that we had to work at it. I guess I felt some kind of way when I was like, dang, maybe I'm working too hard. Maybe it's not, what the heck? And then I call that my loss of innocence phase. I was torn up, and I was like, I'm not doing this ever again. I'll never forget that. It almost makes me want to cry right now when I had the conversation with my mom. But I remember telling her, Mom, I'm good. I will never do this again. And she looked at me and she said, yes, you will. And I said, no, I won't. And she said, you will.
And then you went on that fateful blind date. And you said, yes, I will. She was like, si se pueda. Yes, I can. No, it's funny, and therein lies the challenge. I think a lot of times people think that the person that you find as your mate, your partner, is supposed to be just as perfect as you, because in our minds we're perfect, or we're pretty darn close to it, and we should match up, and it shouldn't require any work. And I love this book in this particular chapter about relationships, because there's so many golden nuggets in there. And there's a relationship expert named Daniel Weil that is also quoted, and he says that choosing a partner is basically choosing a set of problems.
Amen.
Why you look at me when you say that?
Because you're my partner.
I thought you were going to say, because you're my problem. That too. But he goes on to say, there are no problem-free candidates. The trick is to acknowledge each other's limitations and build from there.
I agree with that. Because no one is ever, here's the thing, no one is perfect, and no one is ever going to come without mistakes or whatever. I would hate to be with someone, I say, oh, I want him to be perfect, I want him to be, he can't have any errors, he can't have any mistakes, he just does everything right. I would hate to be with someone like that, because I know myself, and I know that as human as I am, and the things that I might forget, I might mess up on, and can you just imagine being judged by this person who knows no fault? It's like, that person would never be able to comprehend why I got something wrong if they never made a mistake in their lives.
If they feel like that, true.
Well, yeah, and I mean there are people that are like that too, or they make a mistake, but it's a justified mistake when I make it. But if I do it, if the other person does it, are you kidding me? How could you be so silly? How could you be so dumb? How could you be so stupid? I mean, I've heard this. And I'm like, what?
So that's why we love to actually talk about not just things that we're going through and the solutions, but we like to, basically air some dirty laundry and let you know. I mean, I joke about heathenhood, about where I was. We don't really go into that much, but we do talk about our early days.
We don't.
No, but we do talk about how, the early days of our relationship, that our marriage had warts. Here's the funny thing about warts. Just like warts on your relationship, just like in real life, you can do something to them and the warts will go away. But do they really go away?
What was that, Compound H?
Yeah.
Whatever, I remember that commercial.
But no, do the warts really go away, or are they basically being subsided? Are they going dormant? Because when stress happens, the wart can come back. And just like a physical wart on your hand, you put something on it, Compound H or whatever that stuff is, and I've never had a wart, but anyway, so you put that on, it goes away, but I've had friends that under immense stress, something happens, that wart comes back. It's like a canker sore. Once you actually get that, it's part of the herpes complex or herpes zoster complex. That not the disease itself, like the STD.
It's
like a cousin,
or something like that.
It's a relative of it, and you might get a canker sore, and sometimes I've got a cold sore on my lip, but it goes away, but it's dormant, and then over time, if something happens, stress, the bills, a death in the family, changing of the job, laid off, all these different things, the kids driving you nuts, whatever. Stress has a tendency to make that, and all of a sudden it's no longer dormant, it's now activated it. Well, that can happen in our relationships as well. That, that fixed mindset, the negativity that we've had in the past or whatever, just because we've gotten past it doesn't mean it's 100% gone. There's always the possibility that can come back up if you go from that growth mindset that you've grown into back to a fixed mindset. And that's the funny thing. That's one thing that people need to realize is that you might have a growth mindset when it comes to your career. And, I can go to work and I can learn and I can do this, and I can get better and I can get stronger and I can, but then in your relationship, you might have a fixed mindset. You might have a growth mindset when it comes to your relationship with your spouse, but then have a very fixed mindset when it comes to raising your children. This is the way it is. That's how I was raised. Come on now, look. Somebody's got to say amen.
Amen, because you didn't even finish it all the way. I was like, woo, how many times did I say that?
Well, that's the way I was raised. It was good enough for me. Come on. It was good enough for me. It's good enough for you.
You better shut your mouth and keep on talking.
And so we go through these things, right? And I bring all this up because I like to say that, look, we come with words that are hopefully, that are suppressed, that are dormant. And we talk from a perspective and we share from a perspective of these are things that we went through. These are things that we're going through. These are things that our friends are going through. These are things that some of our clients have been going through. And so we're not perfect. We're saying, look, you're not alone in your relationship. You're not alone in your marriage. You may feel alone, but there's people like us. There's people that are out there, coaches, therapists, an iron tribe that hopefully you're developing that is there to go through it with you, to let you know that you're not alone. Though you're going through this and you feel all alone, you're not.
Right.
And so think about your mindset and where you are. Because again, to think that you're alone and that there's no one else out there that can listen to you or help you through your process, that is part of having a fixed mindset.
Okay, so how do you break out of a fixed mindset? What is
a big part of it? You know what? One of the biggest things I've seen help people over the last 2 years, at least in my professional capacity as a marriage coach, and even as a coach, I coach individuals that aren't in a relationship, that has things pertaining to their personal development, what have you as well. The DISC assessment. I'm not saying that's the only way, but the DISC assessment represents self-assessment. It represents having a higher degree or higher level of self-awareness, becoming more and more aware of where you are and a desire to get better. That you go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset by recognizing that maybe it's not about the end result. Maybe it's not about the achievement so much as it's about the process, right? It's the journey that we go through. And if you're open to focusing more on that journey and becoming a better person, a better parent, a better spouse, a better employee, a better entrepreneur, focusing what you need to go through, then I think that's how you start to really toggle and pivot over towards having more of a growth mindset. Let me just add this. I was listening to a podcast from Ed Milet, last week's episode, and he was talking to a gentleman, I can't think of his name right now, but he wrote a book called Think Like a Monk. And as they were talking, the guy said something that I thought was really critical. And he said that there's three things, and I'll call them the 3 Ps, that you can control, in your genuineness and what you do, sharing your gifts, sharing your abilities, sharing your passion, being focused on your preparation, the process, and your practice, and not being so concerned about the outcome. You can't control what people do. Like he says, he's talking about being an author, writing a book. If I write a book, I can't control if people are going to go out and buy it, but what I can control is my preparation for writing the book, right? That preparation, right? The process, the purpose behind why I'm doing this and what I'm doing every single day, putting my love and pouring myself into this because I want to share my experiences to help other people, that process. And then the practice of making sure that, I'm being true to it and I'm actually talking to people and then sharing it and staying in that purpose. You do those 3 things and then the outcome will take care of itself eventually.
Right.
And it's that way in our relationships, and that's how you can actually be when it comes to moving from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. But it comes back to self-awareness.
Also, I think communication is always going to play a big, huge part between fixed mindsets and growth mindsets, because I could be thinking one thing and you're misinterpreting what my language, my body language, how I'm looking, how I'm feeling, or whatever, and automatically you assume that, oh, she's on some old weird stuff, or I'm acting funny, or I'm, but I could have just heard some bad news and I'm trying to figure out how to share it with you, or I could have had a bad day and I just need a moment to decompress. But in your mind, because I'm kind of stoic, you think that, oh, forget her too then, I ain't about to go check on her, or it doesn't come back to, hey, let me find out, babe, you okay? Are you good? Or, even if you ask me if I'm good and I'm not telling you that I'm good, I might just be like,
I've had some of those forget her moments.
I know. You should see, Lovey comes in here and he shuts the door to the office. That's the do not disturb me.
Oh, she can't talk because she will go head first into the bedroom, and she'll blast the TV.
No, I don't.
Oh.
Are you serious? I blast the TV when I'm cleaning up and I'm hanging the clothes up in the closet. I don't blast the TV.
There's moments where she does not want to be bothered.
Well, yeah, I'm sitting on the edge of my bed with a book at that time. But anyway, I was saying that to talk about communication. A lot of people, I don't know why, but it seems like we seem to forget the very simplest of things, which is communication. That's daily, that's always. That's not in your vows, huh? Communication should be in the vows. To have in the whole, to communicate better, to learn effective communication. That should be in the vows.
That should be in the vows. Look, I'm going to agree with you on that one. But wait, how many weddings would stop at that point?
Be like, wait, but what does that even mean?
You hear the record scratch?
What?
And everyone's like, whoa, wait, hold on.
Let's define what that is.
I need to.
Yes, let's.
Pastor might have to throw a sermon in right there and then.
Funny, yeah.
No, but you're right. We should place much more emphasis on that, in the premarital coaching, which we do, of course. We do premarital coaching for those couples that are getting prepared for marriage. But it's something that we should all, I think, participate in a little bit more. And at least add some value to it. Don't do yourself a disservice. If you know a young couple that's about to approach getting married, make sure you talk to them about communication. The very minimum, point them towards our podcast so they can actually get a dose here and there. There's 106 episodes. Where they can pick up on some nuggets that that they're learning from all of us, because a lot of what we talk about we get from you as well.
Yeah.
So I hope that added some illustration, some. Do you think that was good talk? Regarding fixed mindset versus growth mindset. We really appreciate you guys letting us know, because I think I could go on and on and on about this.
Yeah, I just think that a growth mindset is okay. I look at it like, and I know you gave a nice dissertation about what the fixed mindset is, or fixed versus growth. But for me, it was just very simple. If you think about income,
right.
Growth income, you have the potential to grow your income, make more income, more and more and more. Fixed income, this is the amount that you get, and that's all you get, and you will not get any more. It's fixed. So I'm very limited on what I can do with this income, and I'm going to hold on to it because I don't know. I know when I'm going to get some more, and I know how much more I'm going to get. So I look at it like that. So our minds sometimes we're like, oh no. We shortcut everything because nothing else is coming. We're not learning anything else.
I like that. Honestly, Slick just brought some heat. Think about it, folks. People talk about all the time, like, oh, I need to get a side hustle. Why? Because you have a fixed income right now. Or we talk about when you get older and you go, oh, you don't have a fixed income. It's going to be harder for you to live. If we're so concerned about having a fixed income, just money, we need to be concerned about having a fixed mindset when it comes to our life.
Right.
That is so deep. I'm married good. Y'all know I married up, right?
Married well.
I married well. I married good. I said I married up.
So silly. You married well.
Look, from a vocabulary standpoint, as well as looks, you got it all, girl. Hey, look, we're going to leave that there for this week. We're thankful for each and every one of you. Right now it's going to be 2 for the road. It's time for us to actually get you fired up with a couple of the affirmations I planned last week. I was supposed to plan a surprise. I talked to the girls about it, but I did not talk it over with my wife yet, so it's still in the process. Don't think that I forgot.
Is it a surprise for me? For
So-
me?
For me? 2 bags of seats for me? Oh, man.
I can be more understanding.
About how she's not going to get a surprise because mine says I can wash the dishes.
Oh, no,
Surprise!
Whatever. Kiki's washing the dishes. Oops. I think that one.
She's trying to bust them suds. Hey, look, folks, we are super appreciative of each and every one of you. We love coming together every single week and having this discussion.
Yeah. You guys, I mean, just make sure you put some effort into your relationship. Don't just think that, oh, well, we love each other. Yeah, you do love each other, and that's great. But love also means you have to put work in.
Absolutely. Oh, wait. Work happily ever after? Is that what you're saying?
No, you live happily ever after while you work.
Oh, okay. You want to whistle while you work.
I was about to say, you know the song.
Anyway, hey, right now we're going to, as we fade out, we're going to observe 8 minutes and 46 seconds of silence. It's a time for reflection on social media. And again, the reason why I don't want to just say certain names. I don't want to just say George Floyd or Breonna Taylor or Philando Castile or Mike Brown, because you'll forget somebody. Just to saying those names, someone's going to say, "Oh, you didn't say."
Say this one. You didn't say Trayvon. You didn't say.
Right, exactly. There's so many names that we aren't aware of, and we want you to take this moment of silence to think about those people that you know that deserve social justice, that deserve equality when it comes to, that deserve due process, that deserve the 5th and the 14th Amendment, the constitutional right to have due process. So, too often it's being cut short by the way of murder. And what I'm asking each and every one of us to do is observe silence and become a better citizen. Represent your community, whatever that may be, to the fullest extent, and reflect on what you can do to be a better citizen.
I was getting ready to say that. Think about what it is that you can do.
So that you can be a better person, so we can have a better community that contributes to a better city, that contributes to a better state, that contributes to a better nation.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, we want to thank you for participating in the #1 podcast for couples, that Married Into Crazy. And until the next time, be blessed.
Bye-bye.